Hey everybody, welcome back. It is week 3 in SLS2264, our leadership development class. And we're going to take a little look at what's going on this week. And it is our first week where we're turning in a journal. Um, and I've already had quite a few questions about this particular assignment. So I want to go over a few things. I didn't talk about it too much in depth last week because it was not due till this week. So some of you are just ahead, which is absolutely fine. The journal is something we're going to do for every unit. So you don't have one every week. It's basically every other week. But it is on the readings that you're doing from the Phi Theta Kappa curriculum. So there's readings and videos, but essentially, which is why it's not called a reading journal, because it's more than just reading. But I will help you with that this week as you are getting ready to turn it in, those of you who have not already done so. So first, though, I want to take a look at where we are, just as a reminder of what's going on the syllabus. We're only in week 3, so still early days, but this is where we are finishing up Unit 1. So the unit officially was titled Developing a Personal Leadership Philosophy. That is the Phi Theta Kappa curriculum that we are covering in weeks 2 and weeks 3. Week 2 and 3. I can't talk today. And so, of course, last week you had your discussion board. This week, you're going to respond to your classmates on that discussion board and turn in the journal. So that's what's coming up this week. Starting in next week, in weeks 4 and 5, we're moving into a different unit within that curriculum. This one is on servant leadership. So you'll notice the numbers do not always stay the same. We are doing unit 1 through 4 in the Phi Theta Kappa curriculum, but then we skip ahead to unit 8 and unit 10. There are 12 units total, I believe, in the curriculum. And in 15 weeks, we don't have time to get to all of them. So that's why we skip around a little bit on those numbering things. But you have you can certainly take a look at all of the topics in the Phi Theta Kappa materials, especially if you have logged in and signed up for that guest account, so that you can look at the actual documents themselves. You can take a look at the other subject matter. But anyway, so let's go to the module and we'll turn on student view so it looks correct for you. This week, we are still in that module 1. So there's not a new set of learning materials, but I am going to open this because there's still been some confusion over what the learning materials are. We've talked about this before, but I get that it's a little bit difficult. Each week or each 2 weeks, you will have a set of readings and videos. You have 2 possible ways to access them. If you have created an account in the Phi Theta Kappa Moodle course, you can use the links that have the little books next to them and the little links next to them. You have the classic case, which was on the Grimke sisters. You have the leadership profile, which is on Senator John McCain. You've got a series of TED Talks, and then you have the information about the recommended film, 12 O'Clock High. You do not have to watch the films, but they are definitely fun and relevant, and you can use those if you so desire for one of your readings / videos that you are looking at. So in the reading journal, you have basically a 5-paragraph essay to write for each of the journals. You have an introduction, you have 3 takeaways or 3 things you've learned, and then you have a conclusion. In those 3 paragraphs on what you have learned, you need to cover at least 2 of the readings or videos. So most people, and I would probably do this just because it's a little bit easier, choose 3. So for example, 1 paragraph on the Grimke sisters and what I learned from them, 1 paragraph on John McCain and what I learned from that, and then one paragraph on one of the TED Talk videos. If you do not have access to the Phi Theta Kappa Moodle course and you do not want to pay for access to those links, you can click on the link that says Module 1 Readings and Videos Free Version. You click on that and it will open a page in Canvas. You don't have to go outside of Canvas until you start watching videos or following links. And it has all the same information on it. It is not as pretty. It does not have any pictures. It is just text, but you can do the readings directly from here. You will also, as you see, I'm scrolling down, you will eventually get to the Unit 1 TED Talks. There are several of those to choose from. You should be reading all of these and watching all of these, other than perhaps the recommended film. And then you will choose the 3 or 2 that you want to cover in your journal. But that is where the readings are. They are always set up the exact same way. If I go to the next module, which I will, we're going to look at it more closely next week, but it's the exact same thing. You will notice under learning materials, there is a link that says Unit 2 course materials free version. And then there are the links that are not for the free version. And you can click on those if you have the access through Phi Theta Kappa. Okay. So hopefully that's a little clearer. It seems clear to me, but of course I've been doing this for 1,000 years, so I get it. Sometimes things look clearer to someone who sees it all the time. So I totally understand. Once you have done all your readings and all your videos and all your stuff, then you have the ability to do the graded assignments. You will have 3 in this module. You have had 3. You've had 2 so far. The Personal Leadership Philosophy Discussion Board, which was basically our introductions. And then you would go back and respond to others on that one. You had the discussion board that was due Sunday night. And now it's time to go back and respond to at least 2 of your fellow students on that one. And then this week, the only new assignment, besides going back and responding to others, is the first journal. Now, I did go over this, but I'm going to go over it again because, again, like I said, I know that there was apparently a little confusion. For each of the journals, it needs to be a fully developed essay with an introduction, at least 3 body paragraphs, and conclusion. It needs to be in a Word document. It can be a PDF. It could be something else, but it needs to be compatible with Microsoft Word in MLA format with MLA documentation of the primary sources. No secondary source use is required. So you do not have to do any additional research, but if you do, you need to document that. So if, for example, you wanted to look up more information about John McCain and you used some of that information, then you need to cite it as well. In each of the journals, you're going to share at least 3 takeaways from several of the items under the learning materials. You need to use specifically direct quotations to show what you learned, paraphrasing details from the primary sources, but that's what you're doing. You're talking about 3 things that you learned or took away. You should also review the journal rubric both before and after you submit your work or as you're getting ready to submit your work. Certainly once you get your first grade on a journal, you're going to want to review the rubric, and we'll talk about that next week. Always review my feedback on the journal once you get it back, even if you get a perfect score. You can still submit these if they're late, but you obviously will get a point deduction for that. If it's over a week late, it's not going to be worth more than a lot of credit, more than half. Again, there's a link to the materials, but this link to the materials is only the actual links within the Phi Theta Kappa Moodle. So if you need to go back and access the free version, you need to go back to the course materials and access it there. I did not provide a separate link for that here. Okay. Here is a copy of the journal. So how do you create a Word document that looks right, MLA style, all that good stuff? We're going to open a blank Word document. And Microsoft Word, MLA in Microsoft Word is pretty easy. We need to plain double space the entire document. So you notice here is the spacing thing. I'm going to go to line spacing options. I want this, both of these to say 0, and I want this to say double. Click OK, ready to go. On the first page, you are going to have your full name. You are going to have my last name. You're going to have the class. And you're going to have the date. I'm going to use today's date. Oops, except I'm just accidentally putting emojis in here. You're going to give your work a title. It doesn't have to be anything exciting for the reading journals. I'm just going to call it something. Oops, except I can't spell. Now, you'll notice this font is this is the default font for Word, Calibri. Most people and many teachers absolutely swear on a stack of Bibles that you have to make your documents Times New Roman 12. So let me show you how to fix that. I've highlighted the whole thing and I'm going to change this to Times New Roman. The other thing I'm going to need to do then is I'm going to need to change it in the header when I create my header. And when I do my regular paragraphs, I'm going to come back over here. I've clicked on the left hand justify. I'm going to tab over, tab over, and I'm going to write my brilliant paragraph here. I'm going to have 5 of those. Okay. I'm going to have my paragraphs that show what I learned. They're going to have some quotations in them. And then at the very end, I'm going to have my works cited. Now, one of the things that is tricky is if you are using one of the TED Talks, then you are citing a YouTube. If you are using some of the readings, and especially if you're using the free version of the readings, you can look up how to cite course materials, and that is absolutely fine. I am not going to be super picky about the citations, but I want you to do your best to figure out how to do them. I'm not going to do them for you. There's links in the course for all the MLA materials, links to the library. The library has everything that you need in it. There are certainly websites that will help you create your citations. But on this very last page, you will have what's called a works cited page. And those entries will have a hanging indent. So I'm going to move my little bottom arrow over, and the list is going to be in alphabetical order. And you may only have one thing on it. If you are doing readings and they are all on the free thing, you may only have the document that you looked at with me, but most of you will have at least a couple, because you'll have at least one of the TED Talks as a video. All right, so the only thing we haven't done to this document is create the header, which is where the page number and your last name lives. You would go to the insert menu and you want to choose page number first. I'm on a Mac, so yours may look a little bit different than this. I want a top of page and I want the right-hand side. I do want to show the number on the first page. For formatting, I'm going to have to change the font, but other than that, okay, so let's click OK. And then right next to it, double click by it, you're going to have your last name. In this case, our student's name is Lamb. Now, this should be the same font as the paper, so I'm going to change it to Times New Roman. Now, I am absolutely fine with you using the default font, which means you don't have to make any changes. But like I said, you will have teachers who absolutely swear that you have to have it in Times New Roman 12. So it's a good idea. You can also, by the way, change your own computer. If you're on your own computer and you want to make Times New Roman 12 your default font, you can do that. while you're in school, it's probably a good idea. All right, so that is what it will look like. Once you are done with it, you would then attach it as an upload. So let me go back into the course. When we are ready to submit, we click on Start Assignment and we click Upload File. This will let you open your computer files. You'll attach one. I'm just going to use this document because it's right at the beginning. And then you're going to click Submit Assignment. Now, you can submit more than once. Canvas is going to show me all of your attempts. I am only going to grade the newest final one that you give me. So a lot of times what will happen is you'll go ahead and turn it in, and then you'll realize there's an error. So if that happens, you can always upload a second one. That is not a problem. If you have problems, techniques, problems, tips, need help, whatever, let me know. I am available. So I hope you guys have a great week, and I will check in with you midweek, but then I will see you again next Sunday night or Monday morning for our next walkthrough. Everybody have a good week and take care.